You, Congressman, thank you for joining me. So you heard it there. Tomorrow marks the deadline for Abrego to decide whether or not to take this Costa Rica deal, or else that offer will be on the table forever. That is according to his attorneys. Has the Trump administration effectively told him, pick your poison? And what is your take on this ultimatum?
I think they're holding them hostage by telling them that he has to do one or the other, instead of letting this play out in court. And that's what we're saying. Everybody has due process, or should have due process in this country, and you're innocent until proven guilty. But when it comes to Latinos in this country, we're seeing time and time again, you're guilty until proven innocent. And let's not forget that he was mistakenly deported. And then the Trump administration, President Trump, refused to bring him back until the Supreme Court intervened, and they still delayed. So this is just another example of them ignoring the rule of law and trying to use the law to punish people, not because seeking justice, but because they're trying to achieve some political end.
So Abrego's lawyers claim that he was given the choice to live freely in Costa Rica as a refugee or under residency status. But since his release Friday, he's now forced to either plead guilty and then be deported after serving time to Costa Rica, or be deported to Uganda. Why would the administration suddenly change the offer? What kind of message does that send?
That sends that they're not interested in process. They don't care about what they do to this individual, if they separate him from his family. What they're trying to do is send a message to anybody who's going to challenge them, either in the courts or on the streets or politically. And people need to be careful, because if it starts with him, it will continue to other individuals. I know legal permanent residents that say, am I next? I know people who become naturalized citizens who say, am I next? And that's the kind of fear people are living with. They're fearing for themselves, even though they have done nothing and haven't broken the law. That's where we're headed.
And then let's also make the point that you made with the fact that he is facing a January trial date on these two charges, and yet the Trump administration is not offering that as an option for him to stay in the country, perhaps under supervision of some sort, and go through the jurisdiction process. Let me move on to another topic with regard to the New York Times, which reads as this headline: San Francisco had avoided Trump's ire until now, with President Trump promising to clean that one up too. So take a listen to what he had to say.
Look at what the Democrats have done to San Francisco. They've destroyed it. I own a big chunk of the Bank of America building in San Francisco. And, you know, it's just different. We can clean that up too.
Your district has already been targeted by the National Guard. So what's behind this new attack?
Simple. He wants to use his power and tries to expand it beyond what is normal within history, within the previous courses of action of any other president. This is what I've always feared, that he's not going to just finish in LA. He's going to go on to other cities. He went on to DC, he'll go on to Chicago, San Francisco, and he'll probably even go on to southern cities like Atlanta. And here's the thing. Okay, they're temporary deployments. What happens if all of a sudden they're not temporary anymore? But what happens if it's not about crime? Because it isn't, because we have seen every one of these cities have been experiencing either declines in crime or historic lows. So that's where we're headed. He's desensitizing the American public, and it makes it extremely dangerous, because one day maybe he doesn't remove them whatsoever.
So I want to reiterate that point, because a White House official says the president's list is based on cities where crime is the highest. But to your point, San Francisco, like Washington, D.C., has seen this decline in crime stats over the years. So might this be just retribution for California lawmakers approving the redistricting bill that they're putting on November's ballot?
It could be. And but the reason why we suspect that, and we suspect other things, is because we've seen that it doesn't matter. The facts don't matter when it comes to deploying the National Guard or the Marines. He's just making decisions based on what he believes that needs to be done. That's what's dangerous. I just came back from a trip to Taiwan. One of the things that we've learned is that China continuously pushes these military exercises. Before, people would flip out about them. They would say, what are they doing? And they would push back. Now, not so much. So every time he puts a new federalizes National Guard in every state, people become a little bit more desensitized. The pushback doesn't become as extreme. Then all of a sudden, those troops will never leave.
Yeah, it becomes normalized, in fact, to your point. Do you expect California voters to pass the redistricting bill in November? And if so, is that going to blunt Texas Republicans' newly drawn congressional maps? I mean, how important is it that California is leaving the decision up to constituents versus Texas lawmakers making the decision, taking it upon themselves to do it?
Well, our constituents love the Citizen Redistricting Commission, so do I. But at the same time, we know that this administration is trying to rig the game by having a mid-district redistricting in Texas to steal another congressional majority so that he's left unchecked power. They get that. They understand that the troops that are being sent in to Los Angeles and next to San Francisco, that tax earner communities are all based on the fact that there is not a functioning system of government at the federal level. There is no checks and balances. And that will continue, the attack on our state, unless we win the majority. So I believe that the voters will vote yes because they know what's at stake. It's our way of life here in California, but also the people, the immigrant that's trying to get by, the mother and daughter who want to just make a better living for themselves. It is the fact that we want to have combat climate change in this state. We believe that everybody should have a right to an education and everybody have a right to succeed. That's what's being attacked. So I believe that the voters will vote yes on this proposition because they know what's at stake next November.
And so your implication being that the state of Congress right now, with Republican majorities in both houses, there's nothing that Congress will do to stop this from happening.
Yeah, there's nothing that they can do. And at the same time, let's look at what Republicans have done in the 6 months that Trump's been in office. They have voted to basically gut every federal department, cut Medicaid, cut SNAP, and they have given him everything he's wanted. They have put up little fight, even if they disagree with them ideologically. So what that tells you is that if he wins another congressional majority, there will be nothing stopping him through 2029.
Congressman Jimmy Gomez of California, thank you so much, sir, for your time. Appreciate that. And next we focus on the surge